Hi, this is Jeanette Comerford, and today we'll be coloring in this image. We'll be doing the face and hair, and I'll leave you product links at the end of the video as well as a link to my blog. So the first color I'm using is my lightest shade, which is E00, and I am laying that down in the areas where I'm going to have the deepest shadow when my coloration is finished. My light source is coming straight onto her face, so the edges of her face will be darker and the middle of her face will be lighter. So that's why I've left the middle area uncolored for the moment. So now I'm going in with my next color, which is slightly darker, and this is E00. And you can see I'm pretty well just laying it right on top of what I've already colored, and I'm not being overly careful at this point. And the blending is starting with the two colors. So these colors are blending together, and I'll just put a little bit in there, the ears, and I'll move on to a darker color, my E11. Now this one is really what's adding the shadow or the contrast, so I won't be putting nearly as much of this color on. You'll see that I'm really just doing sort of a thin band around the edges, a little bit thicker where her cheek is going to be, and I'll come around on the other side. And I like when I'm coloring just to sort of do little flicking motions. I find that way I don't add too much marker color on. The more color you add, the more time, the more ink it's going to take to blend out. So I'm going to go back now with my E00, and I'm just blending that line out. While it's still wet, it's the best time to do it. So I'm just getting rid of that line. I don't want that in my coloration. And you'll see that I start from the outside and work inside to get my blend. So I'll just move on over to the other side. And at this point, you don't want to see lines. So if there's lines, just go ahead and blend some more. Those lines are not going to get any easier to get rid of the further you go on in your coloring. So now this is my darkest shade. This is my E13. And I am really just adding, you can see I'm working just on the fine point of my marker, just adding a little bit of this because it's quite dark. Come back around onto the other side, and this is what's really going to give contrast to my coloring and give the image some depth and give it the illusion of being three-dimensional. So not forgetting my ears. And now what I'll do is I'll take my E11 and I will blend out that line because I don't want to see a line there. So you'll see I'm just going right over that line, blending it out. You'll notice also that I don't do all the skin at once. I like to work on one area, such as the face, and then a separate time I'll go and do the hands or the feet. The smaller the area you're working on, the easier it is to blend. So now we're going to go back to the E00, and again I'm just blending. I've created another line. I'm just blending that line out. Now you can use, like I'm using circular motions right now, you can use a circular motion or a flicking motion. It's really up to you, what's more comfortable for you. There's no real right or wrong. As long as you're not laying down too much ink, you're doing well. So again, you can see that the middle of the face is still white, but I'm working more inwards now. I'm coloring more of that cheek area. I'm getting a better feel of where I need more color. So I'm going to take my E00 now, and I'm just going to blend around that line. Alright, so I'm getting rid of that line. while the ink is still wet. It's easier to get rid of, but I'm still going to be leaving that little bit in the center light because I have to do the cheeks, so I want to get those done. I'll be taking my R20 to put that on, and you can see I'm just sort of again doing a flicking motion and just putting the dark cheek area, the dark color on the cheeks rather, just on the edges there. I don't want too much. Now to blend away that cheek area, I'll be starting with R11, and this is something I've just started to do, and I find it really blends out that edge of the cheek really nicely. You don't need to use too much of it. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead to my E00, or rather my E00, sorry about that, and I'll just color in the rest of the image. And always sort of go ahead and take a look at the eyes in these particular images to make sure you don't have any strange white edges, or just make sure it looks nice. Okay, so that basically is the face. And again, I'm just laying in this lightest color, just blending out anything I see I don't like. And I will leave the lips until my face is all dry. So I'll move now onto the hand. And again, I'll be working in the same order with my lightest and moving down through these colors. So this is E00 that I'm laying on. And again, this is a really small area, so it doesn't take very long, and it doesn't take too much ink either. So I'm putting the shadow underneath her chin, on her neck. And going to the very, very dark E13, and again, just a teeny tiny bit. And you can see how that just really makes the image pop. So don't be afraid to use your darker markers. So we'll be working now in reverse. Same thing. There's a lot of people that ask me if it's okay to work from dark to light, and it is. It's just not the way I do it. I get a better result myself personally if I go from light to dark. But if that's not working for you, then go ahead and try working from dark to light. Just make sure you're blending in between, and I've seen students that get a really good outcome that way. Okay, so that's my final addition of my lightest shade, and the skin tones are done. Now I'm taking my R20, I'm adding that on in and to the lip area. Oh, sorry, I added the R11, sorry about that. And now I'm adding the R20. There we go.